Hello guys, welcome back. So this is a bench that I bought from a yard sale. It was $10 in pretty good shape, so I decided to do it over. So let's see how I went from this to this. If you guys would like to see how I did that, stay tuned. So here I already took the fabric off of the bench. What you're going to need is a blanket or fabric, primer, paint, foam roller, staples, staple gun, and trim. So we're going to just go ahead and take off the foam and the piece of wood, and I'm going to just stand up my bench, and the first coat that I'm doing is a primer for my base. So I did do 2 coats of primer and 2 coats of paint. So I'm just showing you guys, I'm just painting everywhere, and you can tell that this was a project that someone else had already done over. So I'm just following their steps and make sure I get everything that is polished red. So just painting everything, make sure I'm getting through all the cracks and the crevices to make sure it's all nice and white. Here, this is the blanket that I'm using. It's made for a twin size bed, and it's so soft, and that's what I was looking for. I paid about $12 for this at Walmart. So here I'm just laying out my fabric. I have it on another project that I'm going to be doing, and I actually decided to use some batting that I had laying around because the piece of wood was really sharp when I tried to put the blanket on it by itself. So I decided to use some batting. And those were the staples and the staple gun that I'm going to be using. That's by Stanley. So here I'm just using my electric staple gun. Make sure you get an electric staple gun because you have to do a lot of staples. And when you have a manual staple gun, it's just too much work and too much tension on your hands and just hurt. So here I'm just, showing you guys that I stapled the batting, and now I'm trying to get the fabric correct. I just pull it over towards the end so that I will have, some leftover fabric, and it'll just make it easier if it's all pushed over to one end. And then I'll be able to use the leftover fabric for something else, like, maybe make a pillow or something. I'm going to find something to do with it. So here I'm just lining it up and stapling it over on one side, and then the other side I just grab a piece and put one staple that we're going to take out later, just to make sure everything is tight, nice and neat. So I'm just working my way around and stapling everything. And here I'm just going to go ahead and take some scissors and cut off the leftover fabric so we won't have too much, just hanging around. So I'm just going to cut that across one way, and then I'm going to go ahead and staple the rest. I do like to check it every now and then to make sure everything is tight, nice and neat. So that's what I'm doing here, and I do like to make sure my corners are really neat, and I'll show you later on in the video how I do my corners. But here I'm just tucking it in really nice and tight and stapling it right there. And this staple gun was really cheap. It's not that much higher than like a manual one, or the one you gotta push and do yourself. I want to say I paid like $17, $18 for it, and it's a really good brand. So yeah, make sure you invest in one of those. So here I did go ahead and pull that other staple out. And I'm just going back down and stapling that side. And here, because I didn't know how to use any of the tools that I have before I bought them, and I had to look them all up, so I thought I'll show you guys how to, add the staples, and just pull it out and put the staples in like that. Then you push it back in and click the button to let them know that you're ready to start stapling again. So I'm just going back to stapling as I did before. Make sure everything is nice, neat, and tight. So here is how I did my corners. So I stapled both ends all the way to the point where I couldn't staple anymore. And then I just pull it nice and tight so that I can have that little crease. So here you see me trying to get it right. If you can't get it, you just know you need to push over more fabric towards the inside, and then you will be able to have that nice looking crease so that we can have some nice rounded edges. And then I just staple that into place, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut off the extra fabric so that we can make sure that the bench is, you know, pretty tight and leveled and not coming up because of the extra fabric. And which I didn't show me taking out the screws on the bench, but they did come with screws that I took out, which will basically keep the bench attached to the wood. So that's the bench, and then the top part that I end up screwing together after I did the trim. So here, that's how it will look, and you can keep it like that, but I decided to take it a step further and add this gold nail trim, this decorative trim, and it's so much easier than buying that separate as well. So I got this from my fabric store, Joann's, and it was $21. However, I had a coupon. I believe it was like 50% off, so I didn't pay much for my trim. So I'm just using a hammer, which is probably not a good idea because it could kind of scrape the metal trim, but I didn't have anything else to use. You could probably use, like, you know, a rubber mallet or something. And then every 5 spaces is where you can add a tack. That's exactly what it is, a tack. And I'm just adding that to the piece of wood that was on the bottom that we stapled the fabric to. So I'm just adding that around every 5 and just go all the way around the whole thing. And then we have a nice trim, which makes our project look even more expensive. So guys, this is the finished look, and that is my vanity mirror that I made. I'll leave that link down below. And that is my $3 Goodwill desk that I redid. That link will be down below. And this is my lovely bench that I am so in love with, that looks so good and expensive. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.